MMA fighting here with Juan Adams at the UFC 247 Media Day. Now, before we start, I got to ask you about your toes you got painted right now. Like, is this the tradition you do, or why black?
I just started it now, actually. One of my buddies at the gym, Joel Bauman's really big into energies and all that. And he said, black dispels negative energy. And they asked me if I wanted to paint my toenails. And I get pedicures regularly, but when I go in there, they always look at my feet and they're just, you can see the disgust wash over their face. And I got some pretty ugly toes, so he goes, you want to paint them? And I go, yeah, what's the longest lasting paint you have? They're like, oh, gel. So I'm like, all right, cool, let's do black gel. She went, you want matte or shiny? I'm like, shiny, baby, that's how we got to do it. So she shines them up, and I loved it. If I felt lighter on my feet, and I'm like, this is really good. And I was a little, felt less negativity around me, so I'm feeding into it, I'm buying into it. Then I chipped them one day at practice, and I literally got 3 pedicures in 1 month one time.
I was about to be like, how often do you get pedicures?
Because anytime it chips, you got to go get a fresh paint on there. You can't walk out half-assed anywhere, So I had to keep it fresh. But I did get one last week before we left. I forced Dontel. I forced Devin to do one, and then Devin Clark, and then Dontel was like, man, I love pedicures, let's go. So it was all 3 of us. We just rolled in there, and the ladies looked at us like, what are these 3 large men doing in here? Sure. But it was great, man. It was great. I actually got Devin to do polish on his. Dontel wouldn't do it, not yet. We got to work him up to that, but it's baby steps.
Is this the new evolution of fighters, like pedicures, nail, like paint, and everything?
Man, eventually, if I can get the whole gym doing it, it would be great, because I think if people took better care of their feet, the mats wouldn't smell as bad.
Now, another question I have, what's this 285 on your Instagram handle? Because usually heavyweight's 265, right?
So what a lot of people may or may not realize is that I did wrestle Division 1, sure. And 285 was always the weight class. And when I was in college, I wasn't really a social media guy, and my coach was like, Juan, you're the team captain, you got to make one. So I got them to, my teammates to convince me to make one. They're like, what do you want as your handle? And I was like, well, Chosen Juan. That's always been my nickname. And then that was taken. So you had to put some numbers in there. And I figured rather than have some 5371 BS, just do something that I could always remember, 285. And that's usually my walk around weight now. So wow. It makes it easy.
So you cut a lot of weight for this heavyweight. You don't hear a lot of heavyweights cutting weight these days.
Yes, I do cut weight. I've actually got 7 pounds to go this morning, and I ate my breakfast. I've had half of my water intake for the day, so I've got 8 ounces of water left. So I will drink that probably tonight as I'm cutting weight, and we'll go from there.
Well, you did make the move to Jackson Wing for this camp. How's the transitions been? We spoke with Aaron Pico before his last fight, and he also made the transition recently, and he was like, there were a lot of mistakes that I didn't realize I was making, and now looking back, I was like, how did I not know this before getting to Jackson? So I'm curious if you went through the same process of realizing these mistakes that you were making.
Yes, the first thing I noticed off the bat was the difference of training up there. Normally I've always had decent cardio when I'm hitting mitts and stuff. And up there, after 2 minutes with Wink, I'm like, hey, coach, I got to sit down, man. You got to give me a break. And to see that grow as time went on was huge for me. But yeah, there were a lot of mistakes. I wouldn't even necessarily call them. They were mistakes. They were deficiencies in my game that I could get away with here, and I could rely on. And up there, I couldn't do it, because I would do them up there, and I'm getting kicked in the face. Because I don't spar with only heavyweights. I spar with 185ers up to heavyweights. The 185ers and 205ers will kick you in the face, and it'll look like a stomach kick, and then I'm getting hit in the face. So it made me correct a lot of stuff really quick, and now I don't get hit as much. I'm like, all right. Should have been doing this stuff a while ago. So.
Pico said something similar. He said the biggest thing he learned from Greg was to minimize risk, was the term he put it. Was that something that he had to kind of instill in you too?
Definitely, because I'm typically a bite down and say screw it, let's go forward type guy. I don't care if that's wrestling, whatever, wherever you're at. I typically don't care if I'm getting hit. So I'll hold. As you've seen before, I'll hold on to a leg if I'm getting hit. I'll stay in a body lock if I'm getting hit. I didn't care. They're like, we're going to stop that. So it minimized, the way I enter into my shots now is minimal risk, as well as once I'm down there, how to protect myself a little better.
Who you been sparring with since you got there?
Man, Biggest, mainly it's Joel Bauman and Christian Edwards, and then when Davion Franklin as well, then Dontel Mays, Devin Clark, and I've even gotten a few rounds in with John, so it's been a great
What's
one.
it been like being in camp with John? We always hear like John in camp is like another animal. What's it been like to actually witness it for like firsthand?
Man, I didn't realize you could be that meticulous about anything, but he's that meticulous about everything. You know, he takes things to a different level of detail in everything he does. And he also doesn't just have like a lot of guys have 2 or 3 coaches. John's got like 7 or 8 of them right there. He's got a big team, expert. Everyone's an expert in what they do, and he's always looking to get the most out of everything that he does, even in his hobbies. So even outside of camp, just looking at John, the way he leads his life, it's been pretty cool to watch.
Now, one of the things that Jackson's kind of been known for is like they watch a lot of tape, they game plan for specific opponents. Is that something you're doing too ahead of this Justin Taffa fight?
Yeah, it is, and it's been pretty new to me because before I was just like, I don't care what they do. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna walk in there. But this time, like day one, it was like, all right, we found this film of your opponent. This is what you're gonna do. We're gonna watch this, and this is how we're gonna mitigate if he comes out like that. If he comes out like this, we're gonna do something else.
Wow.
And it's a lot of read and react type things, and that was new to me, but it's good, man. It makes me not get hit as much, so I like that.
Is there enough tape on him out there? I think he only has like 4 or 5 fights. They've all been pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, well, for most people that wouldn't be enough, but I think Greg and the team out there, they can find errors everywhere. So it's been pretty cool.
And then one final one. I was going through your Instagram lately, and you posted something like you were like 2 of my jobs, old jobs, were represented in this. I had like 6 jobs at one point. What were these jobs? And was there like one that was just like I can never go back to this right now?
Yeah, so it's funny. Those 6 jobs where I like to make sure they all kind of complement each other, and I scheduled it to where I could get them all done. But I was a loan coordinator at a bank. That's the one I definitely could not go back to because I just sitting at the desk all day, it was weird. That's where I started doing the poop chronicle things. I would like use my bathroom break and just talk about life as I'm on the toilet. Half the time I wouldn't even actually be pooping. I just was using my break. And so I don't think I could go back to that one. The other one, I was a general manager and security staffer for nightclubs. So I could definitely go back to that one. The hours sucked, but the money was pretty good. Then I coached. So I coached at a middle school. I was a middle school wrestling and football coach, a high school wrestling and football coach. So that was 2 jobs right there. So now we're at 4. The other one, I was doing privates and coaching classes at an MMA gym. That was job number 5. And the 6th job, I was driving Uber in between all this. So all these jobs, they weren't super time consuming, but when you add them all together, I was getting like.
Did you sleep at all?
Rarely. Like, so ever since I went to a military college, since then I can't sleep more than 6 hours. Like, I just physically cannot sleep more than 6 hours. So I would be up at like, if I went to bed at 9, I was up at 3, and I'm like, oh, let's turn on Uber, see what's popping right now. Or if I couldn't sleep at night, I would just turn on Uber and start driving. So that's how it worked out.
Well, I won't take up any more of your time. I really appreciate the time, and good luck on Saturday.